Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are here with the final episode of Skeleton Crew, and we have a very special guest with us tonight. Miss Manolin, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, good. Nick is here. How are you, buddy?
I'm great.
Good, good. Everybody's doing well?
We are.
Awesome.
All geared up.
There I am. I'm gonna put myself down in the corner there and see you guys. So what was your first impression of the final episode? What would you have rated it out of 10?
What would I have rated it?
Yeah.
Probably an 8.5 or a 9.
Okay.
For me. Off the bat, I would say.
I mean, I'd say for what it was kind of like a kid's show. It was a pretty good ending, I think. I mean, it was a solid show overall compared to others that we've watched, but I'd say that the last episode was definitely good. We were just talking about it on the way here. The ending was a little, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it didn't really leave you with a cliffhanger, or like open it up to another season. It just kind of was like, and this is what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which I liked because I thought it was sort of cool that I wanted a cliffhanger, but I didn't. And I thought they ended it really cool that way, where we didn't have somebody coming in, we didn't have a cameo, nothing like that, but the good guys won.
Yeah.
You know, which was a very cool title, I thought, for everything that came to fruition at the end of this.
Yeah.
You know. So if you're joining us, please say hello, pop a question up. We're just gonna talk about the final episode here. We'll maybe get into some more Star Wars stuff as we go along throughout the evening. But Madeline, you're sort of a newbie to Star Wars, right?
I am, yes. Yeah. I grew up, I have 3 brothers, so I was not a stranger to it at all. But I think when I first started dating Nick, he obviously is a super fan and definitely reintroduced me to it. And I said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big, and started from basically the top. I guess we started from the actual beginning of where the story begins and went through them all. So it was a nice introduction. It was nice to have someone there guiding you along throughout the way, answering all the questions and pointing out the stuff that I probably wouldn't have noticed otherwise. But yes, I think now I'm a big fan, and I'm a pioneer for the fandom among 20-year-old women.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, whenever I drop Madeline's name about what she liked or didn't like, now you get the opportunity to ask her in the chats, as we will. But I think you did great.
Thank you.
With watching them, and also I feel like you got kind of into it.
I did, for sure. I definitely did,
especially with the shows.
Yeah, the shows are really good. Yeah. And I think a lot of times with like spin-offs, especially with something that people are super passionate about, like Star Wars, it could definitely be hard to do shows. Like I think they've talked about doing like a Harry Potter spin-off for a long time. And
oh, wow.
It's something that makes a lot of people nervous because they're like, we don't want to ruin it. And I think Star Wars has done a really, really good job of coming up with different plot lines and spin-offs to continue the story.
So we got a hello from Jacob, Jessica, Lane, who are usually our go-tos here when they come on here. Jerry's on. What's up, Jerry? James, how are you? So if you guys have any questions, sort of, if you've seen Skeleton Crew, let us know what you guys thought. If you thought it was good, bad, and different. Again, me and Nick have talked about Acolyte. We enjoyed Acolyte. A lot of people didn't. I thought this was great. My opinion of the last episode was a 9. I thought they did a fantastic job, just sort of finishing everything off and being able to, you know, just not have the Skywalker universe there, but still be able to tell a cool story, bring up some new people, you know, have a cool ending, you know, but still leave us wanting for more, you know, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah, I definitely was wanting for more. I think every time they put an episode out, I don't think generally we watch a lot of TV shows that you can't binge the whole thing right away. And so with the Star Wars shows, I think have been pretty much one of the only shows recently that I've been like week to week watching and like waiting for an episode to come out. And they always get you because I think with the first 2 drops, they put 2 out at least, and then
Mhm.
they go back to just doing 1 a week. And I feel like it's not enough every week. I'm like, oh, it was just 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We didn't learn much.
Madeline's here to basically back me up for all the things I say to you about how they're too short.
Yeah,
And there's
1,000%. A 30-minute episode, there's not
Yeah.
enough to cover.
too short and too few of them.
Yeah,
Because
agree.
I think it was like pretty good that, obviously good guys won and everything. And I think it's a mark of a good finale to want more, but
Mhm.
not be like wondering what's going on.
It's like you're
know?
satisfied, but you're
Yeah.
excited for more.
You're pretty much aware of everything that's on the table, but you still wanted more, which means that it was, I think, pretty fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been preaching that on the podcast pretty much every episode for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
That-
I feel like you don't get it, especially I think I keep going back to the fact that it's basically an all kid cast.
Mhm.
It was a really good show. I don't think I consume anything that has like a kid storyline in it besides again Harry Potter that is that high level of entertainment or keeping us engaged. But the show is really good. I thought the kids were really good actors
Killed it.
because at times you're like, God, this kid's such a twerp. And you're like, I'm sure he's just a really good actor. But I think it just shows that how good the show was. And I mean, Jude Law is amazing. So
Yeah.
I think he did a great job again, also of working with a whole kid as your ensemble.
I think he did a good job of like making me hate him, but not wanting him to die or anything
Mhm.
either. I don't know. How did you guys feel about that?
I feel like at the end I was hoping he would kind of turn around, but I think he dug
Worse.
deeper into like
Yeah.
being a bad guy. I was waiting for his like heroic moment of like, oh, what am I doing? I don't want to be a bad guy anymore. But we never had that arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Actually, everyone's been right. I am a bad guy. And
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
Which usually in a Star Wars settings, everyone kind of turns it around.
Mhm.
I'm kind of glad he didn't.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of people on tonight. So appreciate you
Yeah.
guys jumping in. Got some questions. Jerry agreed with all of us that they are too short. But again, I think that they're short because we want more out of them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and sometimes I like the cliffhanger. Matt's on here tonight. What's going on, Matt, Derek, Casey? Matt, we're gonna get to that question, Matt, in a little bit here. Matt wants to know your favorite Star Wars character, but I don't want to know just yet. We're gonna save that till
Also-
the end.
Also, James Scollin is on the
Yep.
Hi,
on the stream.
James.
Hi, James.
Yep.
My brother.
Mike, what's going on? How you been, man? You watch Star Wars? My buddy Mike's on here.
Nice.
So
Got a good crowd.
yeah.
Any questions you have, shoot them.
Let's see what else we got here. Yep, Jerry said the same. Yeah, I think as long as it could be 12 minutes long because again, you have Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire that were 12 minutes long. I know you haven't seen some of the animated stuff, but they were just fantastic.
Mhm.
So again, if they can get everything and sort of close it down there, then that's great. But sometimes it's just like like especially like last week and the week before, and even with Acolyte, when all of a sudden Chimera just swooshes everybody away and then we end, and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
oh my god,
Yeah.
But I'm sort of glad that we didn't get a big cliffhanger, so we have to wait a year and a half until Grogu Mando movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what it would have tied into. So I think that was sort of, different. So Star Wars obsession. Welcome.
Nice.
I feel like
Welcome.
they keep pretty consistent with like shows coming out. So you're never left without something to consume, which is I guess a good thing if
Yeah.
you're a part of the fandom. You always have a new show. But I think the new season of Andor is coming out in a couple
Yeah.
of
Oh yeah,
months.
in April.
Yeah.
Yep. Casey, yeah, I wish they would. We were talking about this. A Star Killer storyline would be
Yeah.
fantastic. I would love to see a Star
You talking
Killer.
about the character or the base?
I would guess the character.
Yeah.
I
I was thinking the character when you said that.
Yeah,
That'd
Yeah.
be great.
for sure. I think
I'd
that would
like
be
a story like that without the video game surrounding it, because naturally in like video games you kind of can break the rules a lot and it's like overpowered for entertainment purposes. So I'd love to see how it would play out on an actual show or a screen or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Oh yeah.
But Madeline, we mentioned before, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. It's like an animated series where the episodes are really short. And there's only like 6 of them. And they
Mm.
follow very specific, like niche characters or plots. It's really good. We should watch it.
I'm not really into the animated
Yeah.
stuff, but I mean, you've gotten me this far, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you could convince me.
Yep.
I had a question. I don't think I asked Nick while we were watching this, but the like mastermind behind it all, the machine that they destroy at the end of the show,
The
The
supervisor.
supervisor, yes. Do we think there was anyone behind that controlling it, or because again, we're kind of left of we don't have much information about who necessarily knew about the planet, but I guess
Mhm.
based on the fact that no one really knew it was there, it's been quite a good hidden secret. But I was wondering if there was like a man that was going to pop out, a little call
Like
it the,
a
like the Wizard of
Wizard of
Oz,
Oz,
you know what I
right.
mean, of when
Yeah.
they destroyed it.
There was a
something.
lot of speculation, I think, on
Yeah.
that, which was good. I don't think so. I think it was programmed just to sort of stay until
But
you
it
know.
knew so much about them. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the interesting thing I thought was really cool that I'm going to put up here. That did you? I don't know if you saw it, but because I always have the subtitles on,
Mhm.
but the machine says to Fern and her mom, is I've been watching you and your daughter with great interest,
Yeah.
which is just like what Palpatine was talking about with Anakin. So,
Yeah.
so I thought that was really
Mhm.
cool.
That jumped out to me.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool that some of those things like that, they had the B-wing in there when the good guys came in. That was from Rebels.
Yeah.
Hera went and test drove that.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
I
We gotta-
think I feel like I don't know if I've noticed this incorrectly, but it felt like Fern's mom like knew it was a droid
Oh, I
when
think
they
so.
when they went up there because
Really?
Yeah.
Jod said like you're ruled by a droid, and she's like yeah,
Mhm.
or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
I
remember.
think she definitely.
And then I
knew.
was like, are we sure? And then
Mm,
he stabbed it and
yeah.
it's
obviously found
over.
out.
What I thought was weird about that was if nobody knows about it, no one's able to find it, but it's still heard that quote unquote the Jedi are all traitors. Like
Oh,
20
even the
years before
robot
that.
knew that?
Yeah.
Mm,
So
that's a
like
good point.
I'm wondering if it's just watching like what the Republic is saying all the time or how that even works.
I know in my mind, I just made it up as like an AI machine. Like
Yeah.
it's listening, consuming, and
Yeah.
has its own mind, but it's still just a computer.
Yeah. Because clearly no one found it ever, but yet that message still got across, which is interesting. So
Well, and even like at the end, when it looked like what the Tandem 4 coming in,
mhm.
and that's like Jacob was like, who was the Republic cruiser that Wim saw?
Yeah.
What was that, with an older Leia on it?
Yeah.
We
I
don't know.
notice that
Yeah.
ship coming in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really cool. They really did have a bunch of cool things that sort of kicked back into the Easter eggs of the original series and some of the other stuff in Star Wars where we don't have, a direct contact with Mando or the Skywalkers or anything like that. So I thought that was sort of cool that they were able to just do this on its own. And everybody, even though it got some of the lowest ratings, I think because a lot of people were scared because of Acolyte and all the bad press that it got,
Mhm.
but everybody's been talking about it. All
Yeah.
the podcasts, are raving about it, and I think they
Wait, it got
just did a
bad
good job.
ratings?
No,
No,
not
just
this one. The
viewership.
Acolyte. The other one did, yeah.
And
Yeah.
because of that, Skeleton Crew got low viewership. So there was, not as many people watched it.
Yeah. Well, they're missing out. It was a good one.
And actually, I thought I saw that Acolyte had a lot of people watch it. Like,
Yeah,
it
they
beat
started out.
Ahsoka.
Yeah. It started out pretty crazy.
I felt like, to get back to the episode, the only two like maybe cliffhangers that you could probably make sense of and be right with however you think about it is that obviously Jod is, I would think, would probably get arrested or something. I don't know what happens with him because he's alive and he's just hanging in that room. And they all know where he is. I'm assuming he would just get arrested or something. I don't think he'd get away. And then another big one was, you know, now all the good guys are there. Like, what happens to the planet and all that money?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got a
because they've pretty
picture of
much been
him up
living off
now.
the grid and like in their own little bubble
Yeah,
for however long.
with dumb jobs. And Madeline's opinion of Wim's dad is very low.
Yeah, his whole
Yeah.
storyline is like, I have this job I have to go to every day. It's super busy, and I don't even care that I have a kid. His
Yeah.
kid comes home from being outside the barrier, has had the most traumatic experience. He's like, oh, you got to get back for your test. You're going to be in so much trouble, and you're never going to get a job.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Don't you want a job?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting because, you know, he's holding the lightsaber up to him, you know, and as a father, you know, you say, you know what, just pull it. You know, it's okay if I die. You know, you're gonna get saved. You know, do it. And same with Fern's mom. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God,
you know,
that was awful. She's like, dude, mom, step up.
Yeah.
that 3 seconds, I just wanted to reach through that TV and be like, come on, lady.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be like a big heroic moment for Wim's dad, who had been kind of lame the whole time, and then he's like, "Just do what he says."
Yeah.
And it's like, but
Especially
that's,
after he jumped on the speeder bikes and when
Yeah.
he went with him and he was
Thought
all
he was-
excited.
Yeah.
he's like, you know what? You're talking
Yeah.
to a level 7 systems coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
He's getting on
that's the
board.
guy from TV on the radio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's a
what you
good,
were
very
saying.
good band. People should check out.
The dad's in a band in real life.
Yeah,
Wow.
from the 90s. Very good band.
Well, we got a bunch of people on here. Feel free to again to let us know what you guys thought of Skeleton Crew, the last episode. We're just talking about it, so there are spoilers here. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to jump off. But we're talking about Skeleton Crew episode 8, and here, what is it? Here the good guy. Here comes the good guys.
Yep.
So
The real good guys.
yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool, and I didn't think that he was going to have an arc to come around. I didn't think Jod was gonna, you know, do the Han Solo thing and swoop in and save the day with Luke type of thing. I thought he was just gonna be an ass for the
He's
rest.
just gonna
you know,
reveal
and that
himself.
was,
Yeah.
you know, and at the end, you know, you see the Whim sort of like, oh hey Jod, you know, after he drops the gun and all that stuff. But it was like, no, you need to go find, you know, KB, which I didn't think she was. I didn't think she was dead. I didn't think that they were going to kill any of the kids off in this. You know,
I would have been really shocked if they did.
Yeah, you know, and I'm glad SM-33 came back.
Mhm.
You know, which was cool. You know, but now the Republic has all that. Has all that
cash.
cash,
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I'm wondering. We were talking on the way here, like what happens between then and where we are in like episode 7, for example. Like, you know, what do they do with that place? They got like endless cash now, and I don't know what happens. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on, Tim? Thanks for joining us. So yeah, if you guys I'd be interested to see what's going on. Critter, what's going on, dude? I'm glad you were able to join us tonight. I know you had a couple things going on the last few times, so chime in. Let me know what you thought of Skeleton Crew if you guys have finished it. If you haven't, we are talking about it. So
I was really intrigued by Jod's use of the Force, and I know he had kind of touched on and explained it, but I thought that it would be more of a storyline of like what he actually had and
Who
his
is
training.
he?
Yeah, who is he and how's he still around? I don't know. I felt like it was, and maybe it'll come out more in the next season if he's still around, but I felt like it kind of went under the radar and he just kind of pulled it out for effect a lot of times.
yeah, and I think it was. I'm glad that they did sort of give us a little backstory. We were hoping for a little bit more. Or I was hoping for a little bit more, but when he does, force push a couple people. But I also was listening to some things where when Jod was pulling the lightsaber from the kids, it was like, was Fern and Wim sort of pulling back on him, especially Wim at first.
Right.
I know he was sort of wrestling his dad as well, but is that what we're going to bring in? Because again, everybody has the Force in them.
Yeah.
So are we going to have one of these kids that has the Force in them, which could be interesting?
I like to think that he kind of said it at the end, but like he kind of knows what he's doing, but not really. Like he can do, like, as Han Solo would call it, simple tricks.
Right.
Mhm.
And I guess what I would assume, I don't know, I can't do it, unfortunately, but I would assume it does, part of your training for it requires a lot of really, really tight focus. So, like, with him wrestling Wim's dad, I mean, he's, you know,
Right.
and all these kinds of things. If you got two kids yanking on something that you're trying to get away from him while you're wrestling a grown man, I could see him just not being able to do it. And I am actually cool and satisfied with his description.
Of where he's gotten his training
Yeah,
from.
because like I think his bigger story was that he became so jaded that he was just a horrible person.
Yeah.
And like he could have, if he was anybody, he could have probably been a pretty legendary pirate if he had like a pretty legit background with the Force and stuff. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I could see them using him, like put him in jail and use him like like an informant or that sort of thing. And he's got some abilities that they could spice up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the big thing right now is that they're talking about some of these characters that are going to be in, some of the up and coming things, whether it's going to be Mandalorian and Grogu or whatever. But again, you're not going to bring a big star like Jude Law in here and be like, oh, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah.
going to leave you looking out the window at your pirate ship that's
Yeah.
crashing into at Aden, and that's going to be it. So I think I think they're definitely going to bring Jude Law back to do something in the Star Wars universe.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're kind of notorious for just throwing celebrities that want to be in the movies and the shows, and then never giving them a storyline. Obviously, in this show, he is a main character,
Right.
but I feel like a lot of
Oh,
times they
the
do that.
cameos, for
Yeah,
sure.
like
Yeah.
Jack Black and Lizzo. I felt like in that it was just distracting at that
Yeah.
point.
Yes, I'm good. I'm glad
Yeah,
you agree.
yeah.
Yes, we definitely agree on that, because that was just distracting. It was like, this is a really cool thing, and
For about 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and then you're like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what am I watching right
Yeah.
now?"
yeah, it was a little crazy for that. But yeah, I think, like you said, him being a large enough character,
Mhm.
in this, being pretty much a main character here,
Mhm.
they're not going to be able to, just be like, oh, poof,
Yeah,
here
he's
you
gone.
go.
Yeah.
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 I liked about his character also that once he knew he lost, he was just like, all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this hell bent, like I'm actually gonna do it this time and like kill everybody or whatever. He was just like, all right, see y'all later. I'm just gonna hang out here before they get me.
I feel like, but his type of character has like that cockroach lifestyle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They can fall into the back for a
Yeah,
while, and then
it
they're
ain't a
just
thing for him.
waiting for a group of kids to break him out of jail, and he's back on track
Yeah.
being a pirate.
You're right, because he could have pulled that key at any time,
Exactly.
but he's needed a crew,
Yeah.
a
Waiting for a
skeleton
ship.
crew.
Yeah. Exactly.
We got a question here from Jake. If we get the following series about the kids, where do you think that their lives are going to lead off to? Are they going to have careers or a path or pursuits? That'll be interesting to see. I don't think we're going to get a season 2. Again,
No?
because again, I think the kids, especially preteens, it's going to be another 2-3 years before they even were to start filming with everything else that's going on, and these kids are going to turn into 20-year-olds by that
Yeah.
point. But I think they will bring them in as older into the next ones, because again, they'll have grown up,
Yeah.
almost like Omega.
Mhm.
Hopefully we'll see Omega in some of these things, but I don't think they'll do a season 2 for sure of that. I'd love to see them try to do something with it, and see, even if they don't have all the kids in it, you have somewhere, so we figure out what they're actually doing with all that coin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Star Wars Obsession, thank you. If you're on here, please smash a like, hit the subscribe button, so when we do go live like this, or if we have any other interviews coming up, you'll see them when they pop up here on YouTube and Instagram, everything like that. So appreciate everybody joining us tonight. If you have any questions for Madeline, she's new, but she watched Skeleton Crew. She's seen the all the live action stuff in the movies, and we're just talking about Skeleton Crew. So, anything else from Skeleton Crew that you really enjoyed, Nick?
Me, I liked SM33 a lot. I like that he kind of comes back and helps them at the end.
Yeah.
Thanks to KB, probably. I think she
for
probably
sure.
rigged him up to be alive again. Like we said, I like that it kind of contained itself, that it didn't lead us into like some other show or something. And it's just now going to be, like you guys said, the kids or the characters or Jude Law might be a part of like a different story, but it won't be like a continuation or like a rebranding of Skeleton Crew in any way later. It would just add to another story.
Yeah. What's up, JW? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for jumping on.
Hey, JW. But I also really liked, for people like myself or yourself one day, like Madeline, there were a lot of like really cool underlying things dropped or seen, like Easter eggs or things said that I just enjoy that kind of stuff. So I really like this idea. They didn't have to get that far into it. I'm glad they didn't, but like the Jewel of the Old Republic, they didn't tell us like when it was or what's about it, but I'm like, I like that. Thank you. It's like a little bit of service to me.
Yeah.
And then I like I said, I liked Jod just explaining to a kid like his story in a very quick and mean way. And we didn't have to spend a whole episode in a flashback to do it. I like that. I guess these are all things about the last episode, but and I always like seeing new stuff. Like when they went to the spa planet, like I enjoy seeing like new takes on Star Wars, or I liked seeing this utopia, suburbia thing before you knew it was this totally closed society. You're like, man, where is this place? This looks like the suburb.
Yeah.
Like we're in Brentwood right now.
Right.
But yeah.
It's funny that you say that you like the kind of Easter eggs and flashbacks, but I feel like for me, as someone that might not be catching all of them, I feel like I like a Star Wars that you can watch without having really any knowledge. And that to me is just a key of a good show. You know what I mean? We've always talked about how Andor is, to me, one of my favorites, just because you can drop into it without knowing anything about Star Wars and still enjoy it as a really good show. It's the plot line's good, the acting's good, the setting's good. And that's what I liked about this one is it wasn't super high level. You have to be a expert at Star Wars to know what's happening or feel left out. And it's still a good show. And it pays homage to, I guess, people like you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool where it is a standalone by itself, Solo 1741, what's up, dude? Said same thing with Jude Law. It was like that he stayed bad. I'm glad that he stayed in that path, which was cool. Again, what a great actor. From beginning to end, and especially episode 7, it was like, I mean, I was a little scared of him.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh, is he gonna cut these kids?
Yeah,
I'm like, he's getting a little
you
close.
Never
here.
know.
Yeah, I like the difference in how, like, the type of bad too, because you and I were saying last episode that we did that like we didn't think he had it in him, but I believe him. And that's like his character. It's like he's kind of like Han Solo in that way. He's been kind of talking his way through this whole thing. He's been imprisoned twice by the same people. He's able to kind of finesse these things, but I kind of believe he'd fly off the handle. But at the end of the day, he didn't have it in him. And I kind of like that because there's only one guy who has seemed to have it in him in the whole saga, and he's all over this room. So
all in black.
Yep.
Well, and again, me and you talked about that on the last episode. It was really cool I thought the Easter egg or whatever you want to call it, when he puts that and pulled out that blue lightsaber. It's like when he walks in, with the 501st and the Coruscant, and into the Jedi Temple. So it was just like a really cool thing for us to see that come back like that.
I agree. What kind of questions do we have,
Ron? What did Jacob say? He never did name drop the Jedi he was trained by. No, and I don't think we probably won't
nobody.
Find. Yeah, it'll probably.
I felt like it was an opportunity though to like build a story in the future of he was secretly trained by someone
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
that we don't know about.
I like this idea that like there were so much more than, I mean, maybe they're using it a little too much, but that there's so many more out there than Yoda and Obi-Wan only after it all went down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like eventually we would probably get, especially in like a comic or something, we'd probably get like his whole story with whoever she was, you know. Kind of brutal that he had to watch it all go down though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but again, same with Caleb Doom.
Yeah.
You know, same with
Yeah.
you know, so I thought that was sort of neat, which again, a lot of, I'm sure there was a lot of Padawans that saw that happen to their or were killed as well.
Well, that's a great point to make too, because the same thing happened to Caleb / Kanan, and he went a different way, and
Right.
Jod went a different way, and it's all basically this character from one of the animated shows was also a kid who watched his master get murdered, and then he eventually became kind of a big deal, good guy.
Well, who's the girl from
Ahsoka?
Well, I guess her too, but the ones with Adam Driver.
Oh, Rey,
Oh yeah.
The other girl, the bad girl that's in the show.
bad girl.
With Adam Driver. The last.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing the shows.
Maybe.
They're all
That's
getting
okay.
lost in my mind.
Oh, the bad one in Ahsoka. The
Oh, is that
blonde
what?
one?
No.
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 Okay.
I wish I could
We'll
think
get
of it.
there.
Yeah. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue, but I digress.
Yeah.
There are, I think they show a lot of times the different paths that the kids take after kind of that big moment.
You talking about Acolyte, the twins?
Nope.
Nope. Similar premise, though. I get what you're saying.
I have to Jacob put up something else here, and I'll have to go back and he just watched the last episode, but I'll have to go back and check. But he was like, you know, and you know, who was the Jedi that or who executed his Jedi, Jude Law's master. You know, he didn't say who slain him, but he claimed he made him watch.
Yeah.
You know, so again, something like that, I think it's going to be an Inquisitor or you know, possibly Vader himself.
Yeah.
I would guess probably more of an Inquisitor style person that came up and found them, and how did he get away from that?
Yeah.
You know, was he crouched down watching, or did they make him watch and then again they just let him go?
So
you
thought
know,
he was just a kid,
right? Or figured, you know what, you're not that powerful at this point, you know, and you have nobody to train you, so don't worry about it.
No way you could survive in this hole,
right?
You know,
right? You know.
Just to answer a question my mom sent via text for the podcast, I do not have a sore throat. I can speak up if she asked if I had a sore throat. Nope. Feeling tip-top shape, so I can put some air behind the words.
Your commentary.
Yeah. John Zimmer and Jedi of the Gray, thanks for joining. Appreciate you guys coming on here. We're talking about Skeleton Crew. Our special guest Madeline is on tonight, so she is here with Nick's girlfriend. They just they finished watching Skeleton Crew, so we're really enjoying and having her on and get a different perspective, I think, which is sort of cool because again, yes, you know some Star Wars stuff, but you're not sort of like when we have Matt on here. You know Matt.
Yeah, I was the original Matt. I'd just like to say I went through the Nick Star Wars boot camp far before Matt did.
Matt's not even done. You hear me, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a lot to consume, but some good stuff in there. Now, are you? I'd like to know what your, I'd say, favorite show has been, and then also probably favorite movie, if you can pick one.
Yeah,
now you can give me a generalization.
No, I know for sure. I mean, for me, I loved them all. I thought they were great, but for me, Kenobi. I thought Kenobi was fabulous. It had some good Easter eggs for me. I thought it was cool that they went with Leia instead of Luke, and we still got to see a little bit of little Luke, or young Luke. But I thought it was sort of cool that they did that. I like the Kenobi series. Mandalorian was fantastic. Ahsoka was up top. Andor. I love them all, but if I had to pick one, yes, it would be
Mhm.
Kenobi. And then with for the movies, it's Empire for me. Empire
Mhm.
Strikes Back.
Yeah.
So, but
And Nick actually watched. I don't know if he was just watching it through or that's when it came out. But when we first started dating, he showed me a scene from Kenobi of
Yeah, just the one.
that big fight that he has with Darth Vader. And I was watching it and I was like, this is like I was so out of the series at that point. Like we hadn't really watched anything. He's like, yeah, just watch this. It's a really good
Yeah.
episode or whatever. And I was like, that was an emotional scene,
Oh,
but it's also
absolutely.
like really intense to I don't know. It was such a good like just production all around, very emotional. And I was like, let's get back into this.
Yeah.
Kevin Klug,
He's on.
what's up?
Hey, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
We got a big crowd tonight, literally and crowd size.
And
too.
James said that he's the original OG that you made
Oh,
watch.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
All right.
that
That's
is true.
fair. That's
That is true.
fair.
That's very true.
Yeah,
I don't know how many-
mom second
Oh
that.
God, yeah.
Yeah, Nick's honestly like a Star Wars pusher, I guess.
know.
He's just like, you want to be friends with me? You have to consume this.
Listen,
That's
one
right.
person at a time.
Yeah.
If you do one good thing a
Mhm.
day,
Yeah. Convert someone to watching Star
Yeah.
Wars. But honestly, like when we were watching it and I was going through it, and I think the older ones, unfortunately, I kind of lost me a little bit. We got burnt out, and the timeline just really confuses me because we did watch it from like start to finish of
Yeah.
episode 1 through, and it's really tough going from the like much higher quality movies then back to the originals.
like visually.
Yeah, it makes you think the timeline's all wonky.
Yeah.
But once we got again back into the more recent productions, I was right back in it and I was like, guys, you need to be watching these. These are great movies. Like the storylines are good, the production is good. Like even if you don't know what's happening, they're great movies to watch. And I felt a little bit like Nick trying to like get my friends on the train. I'm like, come on. You
Yeah.
would all love it if you just started it, but just starting it's the hard part.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jedi of the Gray. Luckily you came on late. We did do a bunch of spoilers for Skeleton Crew, so you have to go check that out. We'll try to keep it a little bit low. We've sort of switched gears here a little bit, so appreciate you jumping on. Crosshair 501st. Thanks for jumping on. Summer, what's up? How are you?
Summer Adine.
Yeah.
She's
So-
one of my biggest. I'm trying to convert her.
Yeah.
Yep. That is an
Has she
and
watched
also,
any?
that is a-
No.
No.
yeah, that is an and also podcaster as well.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Madeline,
Yeah.
Summer, and Shada also have a podcast.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
you
we,
tagged on the-
I promoted it all day
I
long.
know. Nick and I are like, it's
I
like a
was pushing it.
crossover episode.
Madeline was a real trooper in some of the, like, I don't know, the process of watching them, because it is hard to go from 1, 2, 3 and then solo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's what happened is I showed you the last episode of Kenobi instead of
Mhm.
watching the whole show instead of movies.
Yeah.
So to go from that and then into the original, which is fantastic, but it just looks different.
Yeah.
Could see it, but thank you for sticking with it.
Yeah.
It
It
means
was
a
worth
lot.
it on the other
It
side.
means a lot to me.
I've always wondered, and I feel like I've asked Nick this, but Ron, do you think they would ever remake the originals?
No.
No.
Nope, they're too classic. They're too OG. Summer said it's a new resolution on her
I've heard that
2025.
before. But I mean, I just feel like it would probably cause a huge rift in the Star Wars fandom just because I think people are so passionate about it. But I think it could also bring in a whole new crowd of people that would be willing to get back into it. Or because I mean, growing up, like my brothers I remember going to the movie theaters, and that's what I told Nick is the more recent ones that came out with like Hayden Christensen. Like I remember going to the theaters on when I came out and watching them, and they are all really good. But again, you kind of lose me when we're going back to the and I think a lot of people have the emotional like connection to it of like it's their childhood. But for me, I'm like, it's the storyline in them. The
70s and 80s,
storyline is so good
Yeah.
that they could be done just production wise so much better now that it would just be so much more digestible. But I'm sure that's like a sacrilegious to a lot of Star Wars fans.
I mean, the presumption was that they were going to do that in the 90s. But what ended up happening is they just added a bunch of little CGI things to them, like
Mhm.
little extra things in the special
Oh, yeah,
editions.
yeah, I remember you said that. You're like, "That spaceship was not
Yeah.
here in the original."
That big lizard,
Yeah.
not there.
CGI.
Jedi of the Gray says Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, they look very.
I mean, they did a good job with that. Solo 1741 was like, nope, they're not doing it.
I would sign a
again.
petition today.
I agree with Ryan. I don't think it would ever. It just would be too.
It's too much of a classic, I think.
But they are remaking every other classic on the planet right now.
True.
I think they're just honestly, which shows how much power the fandom has, is I think that people would hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys would hate it.
Yeah.
I would love it. But I think it's just how controversial TV shows are in this fandom is crazy that I think they're afraid of you guys.
Yeah.
You're powerful people.
I would be okay with like a separate, not replacing them, but like a separate special edition where they go through and do what George Lucas tried to do in 1997 and like take a couple of the space battles or something and put a little shine on them.
Well, like Jacob said that some of the fan films that have come out in that era, which are really good, and I know you've seen it, is the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader original fight that somebody redid. It's just phenomenal. I mean, it's crazy.
Now slap
how good it is.
$100 million on that,
right?
And I think they could make like a separate edition where it's like still the same movie, but they kind of just like tack stuff onto it. I think that would maybe go over like half well with the fandom the way it did back then. Of course, I was a year old when that happened, but I don't think they would ever like recast it and redo it though.
Imagine if
especially when they now can prove that they can take literally one line from a movie and make a whole
CGI
show,
the whole thing of it.
And make a whole show about it or a whole movie about it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They don't have to.
Yeah, that
is true. But I mean, they're so good at doing all of these spin-offs. To me, I'm like, if I could have recreated it, But
I think you underestimate the internet.
I do 1,000%. I know. Nick was.
We live it every day, but it's tough.
Nick was really telling me about how poorly the Acolyte was received online and just absolutely tearing it apart.
Yeah,
which was tough.
Preemptively too.
Yeah.
Crosshair. Yeah, I have heard that. Apparently, there's rumors going around that they're planning on doing another. He said cartoon, but animation. I'm pretty sure that's in the works. That's going to probably pop up here before Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that'll be there before that. Summer wanted to know how should she start, which is a great question.
I think you should go watch the episode with Matt McQuiston for that knowledge. The Star Wars Jedi chat.
Yeah, we've had. Does she know Matt?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So Matt was on, and we talked to. It's different. I mean. You definitely, I think, should watch it. Probably you can watch it on your own, but I think with a friend that knows it already, like Nick or even Madeline, at this point, maybe not a super fan, but
I could get her through it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's different if you want to watch it chronologically or release date, and I have different things on both of them. I think they're great both ways. I watched it with a friend of mine during COVID, and we watched chronologically.
Yeah,
which was cool. So I thought that was really cool.
Madeline, what'd you think of the way that you?
Yeah, we watched it chronologically. So obviously, the thing that was the hardest for me, and maybe this is just the way my brain works, but truly, I just got so confused in the timeline of. I know that the older ones are supposed to be the future technically, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm watching an old movie. This has to be the past. Like, there's no way this storyline is ahead of what I just watched. And so that was like the hardest thing. But I think storyline wise, it gives you the most like insight into what's happening and gives you the full picture. I think starting with release date series, like how it came out, is a little more confusing. I don't know. I think for a beginner, I'd go chronologically.
Yeah.
To get the full story.
That's what Matt chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. So
yeah. My argument was with Matt and then with you. I gave you both options. I remember explaining them to you. Was that it'll feel maybe a little stressful popping from, if you go in release date, like popping from 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
and trying to line up where the characters line up. The benefit is that you learn Star Wars the way that it came out. So
Mhm.
there's nothing that they're saying that you wouldn't have known
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
You kind of get introduced to the concepts instead of getting thrown into the Phantom Menace, and maybe Summer, you don't know what a Jedi is. We start with Phantom Menace, they're right there, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, okay, we're in it. And
Yeah.
so I could see how, especially if you do it by yourself, that'd be kind of hard to do
Mhm.
1 to 9
Yeah, and
in
I
a
think
row.
especially because there's so much, like, detail and fandom around it, I was very overwhelmed watching just because 'cause I'm like, "I don't know what's important and what's not," like,
Right.
that's why it's good to have a point of reference like Nick, or I'm sure whoever you watch with is lucky to have it, but just like, "Should I be paying attention right now? Is this gonna come back? Like, is this an important piece? Because I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Can we rewind?"
No. Well, and again, like you said, there's so much. Even the Crosshair 501, 501st, 1 through 9, and then the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. But again, you know, who has time at this day and age? I mean, I love to do it, but again, watching all the live action stuff, putting in the 7 seasons of Clone Wars, the 4
Mhm.
seasons of Rebels,
Mhm.
and now we got Bad Batch. So again, it's for someone like yourself, yeah, I think it's more in the movies, and then once if you're hooked, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Now let's go
Mhm.
back
Could watch
and
forever.
watch,
Yeah.
the Clone Wars in between, 3, 3 and 4, and figure
2
out
and
things
3.
like that, or 2 and yeah,
Yeah.
and do things like that. So, it's all in what you take from it, I think, from the movies first.
Mhm.
And I do understand seeing 1, 2, and 3, and then jumping into 4, 5, and 6 because they are obviously what 20, 30 years before that.
Mhm.
But if you're watching and you're paying attention to the story, like you said, it's like, oh, okay, it's still engaging, even though I'm like, okay, that's sort of. But I still think if you go back and watch some of the acting or some of the close up scenes, but a lot of those battle scenes from
Mhm.
back in the 70s and 80s are just as good as the ones nowadays, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know Nick kept saying every 5 minutes in the movies, he's like, "And this was groundbreaking technology
Yeah.
back in the day." And I'm
Well,
like, "I
'cause
get it."
I could tell I was losing you. So I was like,
Yeah.
just imagine this was 45 years ago,
Yeah.
and but also, like, for Summer's still on, in her case, she might not know of a pretty huge detail that occurs in the originals, and if you watch the first 3, then you would lose the shock of, like, the biggest
Mm.
moment in the originals.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I
and
guess
I don't
that's
wanna
true.
say it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, but
So we
Summer
got
may not. So
so she's got something on here, but Josh, Jedi Josh is here. What's up? Thanks for jumping on. And so what'd Summer say? Why did they make the later movies first?
well, they weren't gonna be later movies.
Yeah. So even though and I understand your point, because again, they were 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
But they
Or
didn't come
Summer's
out that
point.
way, right?
No, they weren't numbered, right, at the time?
Correct.
Yeah. It was basically like
It was
1, 2, and
Star
3,
Wars, it
and
was
then
Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi
Yeah.
without numbers.
yeah,
And then he was like, "You know what?
these did
I'm
really
making"
well.
Well, I think he always had an idea of, like, what happened to get to that point, and he's like, "I'm gonna write those stories." And
Mhm.
instead of, just to make it, I think, sound, he numbered them, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of times, like, but not to bring it back to Harry Potter, but
Yeah.
Harry Potter was great, and then I feel like they tried to do the same thing and have a prequel, which was the
Mhm.
Wonderful Beasts and whatever.
Yeah.
That was awful. I hated that, and I feel like to go back to the beginning is really tough because I think you lose a lot of people of like
Mhm.
they just want to know what happens after. They didn't really care about what happened before. They got
Yeah.
enough of that. But some of my favorites are the 1, 2, and 3.
I would say, if I could make a Harry Potter reference real quick also,
Okay.
is that probably would have been more interesting if they actually went back and did, like, something that mattered like the
Yeah.
rise of Voldemort, which is basically what the prequels are,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like
The
going
rise
back,
of Dumbledore.
yeah, and going back and seeing like what did he do with all the animals?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and Crosshair had something to say to Summers, you know, in Lucasfilm, that they didn't know how successful these films were going to be.
Yeah.
yeah, they only
You
had
know,
one
at the
shot.
time.
Yeah, they only had one shot with the original, which didn't have a whole lot of like support behind it, and then it was the biggest thing literally in the world, and then took off. And I also know there's like shoddy information about how much he had written. Like he had it kind of like idea based. I don't know. He had like his imagination of how the story went, but it wasn't like he had 1 through 6 written when they made A New Hope.
Right.
Right. So it kind of like he had an idea of like where these characters come from, but he didn't really put it to paper until it was like, okay, we're gonna make a whole other trilogy.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So I that's a good, you know, a good analysis or a good answer for that, Summer. If you're, yeah, there you go. Imagine creating Star Wars. Yeah, phew, that would have been. Yeah, George Lucas is doing okay.
Yeah. But I also feel like a lot. Okay, and then I hate to crap on the originals again, but I think a lot of the 1, 2, and 3, and then it's 6, 7, 8, with
What?
Adam Driver, 6, 7, 8, the
7,
movies,
8, 9.
7, 8, 9. Those pretty much, I think, are so standalone stories that for some of them, maybe not 1, 2, and 3, you could jump in and there's still really good storylines of, you might not grasp everything that's going on, but the movie overall is still really good. And
Yeah,
that's what I think is important to get the not fan people of like, just watch it. Like, it's a good movie, whether or not you know what the heck is going on, of the overarching theme, what's happening right now in the movie is really good.
For 7, 8, 9, how did you feel going into it? Like, did you feel like you needed, kind of similar, like you said about Andor, did you feel like you needed a ton of backstory to be into
No,
them?
because it's kind of like one off. And I think the only background that would have helped was obviously like knowing about Luke and Leia,
Mhm.
but you pretty much can get everything without having a lot of that knowledge.
Mhm.
And it overall a great movie. I thought those 3 were like my favorite, I think. And I feel like that's such a basic like newbie answer, or a girl
Yeah.
answer. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Gonna
And
throw
that-
you
and-
to
and
the
that's
wolves
okay.
of the internet.
Yeah.
Well, Brett,
Don't clip that. Look bad.
Brett said something. Going back and introducing someone to Star Wars, would you go in the order that they actually came out in? Again, I think it's sort of what we're talking about. It's different, you know, for everybody. I enjoyed watching them chronologically this last time,
Mhm.
you know, so I think it's different.
What do you think
know.
the benefits are to watching them release wise?
I think, if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
you get some of the like general information as it was released. So it's like, for example, in the original episode 4 now, you get explained what the Force is
Mm.
in a concise, really clear way, because there wasn't anything else to
Right.
like, you know, liken it to or whatever. It's just you're learning these concepts. Like for Ron, for example, that was all you had on it, and there wasn't any comparisons of like what a Jedi is or what they look like or
Mhm.
how things work, who would beat who or whatever. You're just learning it as it comes along.
Yeah. Your dad agrees with you.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
he made well. I've been switching back and forth, guys. I'm trying to get to both the questions on Instagram and on YouTube here, and your dad said the whole introduction to the Force is used, you know, and they say important, you know, when you learn what the midichlorians are,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that, and then say your mom, you know, watched them in release date, you know,
Yeah.
like I did as well, and it's different for everybody, you know. So again, you get the whole story, but again, 1, 2, and 3, it's like here's a Jedi and here's what
We're
the Force
on.
is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
know?
right now you need to focus on the politics of the situation and like all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Whereas one of the cooler things, and I do know that this was intentional back in the day of George Lucas, is he wanted to put the story in a place where everything had already kind of happened. So like all this stuff had happened, and now there's an empire,
Mm.
and now the good guys are down.
Yeah.
And it's like all that had already happened. We don't need to like build this thing from the ground up. No one would
Yeah.
be interested.
Yeah.
And so the idea is like all that's cool and it's really important to the story and that's its own thing. But to get like the meat of what Star Wars is, you can get from the originals first and then go back and see how it got that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then see how it ends up later.
Mhm.
And my brother-in-law Jerry agrees with you because he never really watched it, until he said until I started the podcast. Which hey, whenever you start, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm
Until
good
you
with-
meet a fanatic and
right,
they make you
yeah.
do it.
It's a lifelong pursuit. It's like playing piano. You can do it
Yep.
forever.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Now I've invested a good portion of my life.
I think your dad's right though. I think it did say episode 4 when the original
it?
screen, the original
wasn't
screen
just Star
thing
Wars?
that came up. Yeah. I
George
think
Lucas
it-
was playing the long con. He said,
Yeah.
"I'm going to number these."
The
And
posters for it
because I
from
think he
all that
did
time
have.
was just Star Wars.
Yeah, but I think he did have like the whole thing figured out. He just didn't know again how it was going to end up and if it was going to be, is this going to flop or,
Yeah.
or is it going to be good?
My thought
know?
was, just to clarify my thought, I thought he added the numbers when he did the special editions before the Phantom Menace came out.
That's something we're gonna have to look at.
We're gonna have to figure
we'll
that
get
out.
back
Let's
on
back
I'm
that.
going to
check
challenge
this.
my
Yes.
father. A common theme here.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing I think that sort of stinks now because again, you really can't find it
yeah.
the original
Yeah.
now.
Unless
Everything
you have it probably
somewhere.
on
Yeah,
VHS somewhere.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
oh, without all of the extra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Special
exist
effects.
anymore.
CGI
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
The
A relic.
original cut.
Yeah. The original cut.
Okay, I gotta go back here again.
Yeah. I don't know. I would tend to believe you and my dad though, because I wasn't there. But yeah, is Matt still on?
I don't think so. There's
Matt,
only-
we're on. I'd be interested to see what he thinks about that order as well.
I think on
was.
He did.
Instagram it's Summer Crosshair. I think then Jedi Gray are on here. Let's say
I have a question for you, Ron.
Yeah.
Because Nick and I have talked about this. So the last 3 movies with Adam Driver, and I know this is also controversial. They had different directors. They had one for the first one, and then they brought in somebody else, and then they brought the first guy back, right?
Mhm.
What did you think of those 3? And the
The
director
originals?
switch?
No,
No,
the
the ones with
sequels.
Adam
Oh, the
Driver.
sequels?
Ron's probably
They
rolling
were-
his
they were-
eyes at
they
everything
were-
I'm saying.
No. They were Star Wars movies, so they were good.
Mhm. Yeah.
For me, I enjoyed all the Easter eggs that brought me back to the original. That's what I can say for those. They were cinematically phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought they were
mean,
great.
Beautiful. I mean, everything on there was great, but I don't. Some of the stories, and again, I can't change it. I'm not bashing it. I
Mhm.
thought it was good. It's part of the Star Wars. It's part of canon now.
Yeah.
So, but I think it was just it wasn't for me at that point. It's just
Yeah.
they were
Political
good. They were
answer.
good movies, but yeah, it's just it's just a little bit different than what we were hoping for at the time. I think.
Oh, really?
What
What do you think people were hoping for?
I think there were, especially a lot of us Star Wars fans that go back, into canon and legends and everything, where some of the stuff that they're sort of bringing to life now with Timothy Zahn, with Heir to the Empire and Thrawn and stuff like that. But Luke got married to Mara Jade, and there was some other books and stuff out like that, which was cool. And I'm not saying they had to do that exactly, but the way that they ended it wouldn't have been the way that I thought was a great way to do it.
Mhm.
Essentially, what had happened was there were a lot of books written after that, kind of like laid out a whole very long time of story for Luke and everybody,
Mhm.
Luke's kids, all this kind of stuff, that were pretty well liked, and also kind of like just continued on of like Luke being the hero, and also like having trials where he
So
wasn't.
did they just like scrap all of that for these? Because
Yeah,
he doesn't
so-
have kids in the movies, doesn't he?
Correct. So they when Disney bought it, they kind of cleared them out because a lot of the books ended up like conflicting each other, and it was kind of confusing. And if you were going to make anything, you kind of needed to, if you were going to put anything on screen, you kind of needed to clean slate in order to like rebuild it a little bit. And so the thought was, cool, we had clean slate, and then we're going to see, I think primarily the thing, if I can speak for both of us, that like Luke would come back and just like whoop ass.
I was just gonna say the one thing I didn't like about those three is how down bad Luke was the whole time. Like they make him seem like such a dork and a loser. And granted, he was kind of nerdy in the his originals, but I just felt like they did him dirty in those three.
Oh yeah,
that's actually something that I actually liked about him, though. You guys,
come on.
No, I think he was irrational in the originals. He's like on purpose. He's like irrational. He's like emotionally impulsive.
Sounds
and
like
he's what
I said. Sounds like somebody else.
Yeah, irrational, emotionally impulsive. I don't know. I think that's his whole thing. And I don't think that a person at like 25 years old just like does one heroic thing and then is perfect forever.
Right.
I know, but
I think that was one of the points. They might have driven it in a little too hard.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of the points is like,
I mean, he basically became like a monk, like a
not even.
Yeah. Like he was just made one. I mean, again, blamed himself for
I don't
what
think
happened.
it makes sense that he's just like, I'm gone. See ya.
Yeah.
I'm going to die here. But I did like that he just didn't turn out to be like the ultimate badass like he is in the books and no one can touch him. I like that he had a failure.
Oh, that he was a loser?
No, I like that he had a pretty deep failure. I don't like how he handled it though.
Yeah.
For sure. Hey, let me jump on that. So dad says, Nick, your lack of faith is disturbing.
Yeah.
And James says, never doubt pops. So I got a question here for Mandalon. Hang on a second. Steve, what's going on, buddy? Steve just jumped on here. Let me see if I can find this. Somebody had a question. So who is your in the last 3, 7, 8, and 9? Crosshair 501st asked, was that him? Or no, Summer did. Wanted to know who was your favorite actor in the last 3. Was it?
It was Adam Driver.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah. I just felt like it was.
Or why was it Adam Driver? Sorry.
Oh, I feel like honestly, he played his character so well. I think he did a really good job of the conflicting. I know deep down I kind of want to be good, but I want to be bad so bad to like
that I'm not
piss my parents off. Like it was just so like teenage boy like living out his dreams of being a bad guy to like really screw with his parents and just at the end of the day did not want to follow through. I think. I don't know, but I think he just played that character so well.
I feel like at the time there was like an argument about how he was like, man, this guy's just like a wannabe Vader, but that was the point.
Exactly.
You know?
And he did it so well. He was so like I want to say like wimpy, but like
yeah, he's weird.
Yeah, it was like a nerd trying really hard to be a bad guy, and she's like, "Come on, we know you're supposed to be good."
Yeah.
But I think he did a really good job, and I don't think his star power took away from the movie at all.
Yeah,
I
would have liked to see him stay bad, but
I know it would have been good.
Yeah,
she wanted to know if Star Wars was the biggest series of the era. Star Wars is the biggest series of our lifetime. Sorry, I mean that's my opinion, but.
Summer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's just firing off.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
It's all about the engagement.
Yeah. And Jedi the Grey's pumping in some Marvel stuff here.
Yeah.
And let's see, Indiana Jones, Crosshair 501st said Indiana Jones was also an era as well as Jurassic Park. Yeah,
but
for
I don't
sure.
think they've lasted as long or been as successful by any means. Because I mean, to that point, you could say Harry Potter too, but I think Harry Potter has very much stuck in its lane of like, we made these 9 movies and these are really good and we're not going to do much outside of it.
Yeah. Summer said great response.
So.
Good job.
Jump back here. Yeah, no, Steve said something. That's why everyone liked the Mando and Luke scene.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
Kind
yeah,
of gave it back.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think they did a great job. And to your point with Adam Driver, again, if we go back to Hayden
Mhm.
when he first came out, I mean, you know, first of all, everybody hated him when he
Yeah.
came out.
I did
but
not know
he
that, Nick.
he was a whiny
Mhm.
teenager. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's what we were. I mean,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he told me that for the like he just had this big redemption moment, I guess, when
Yeah.
was it Ahsoka came out or
It was a little bit before that. There was like a big, because like all of us who were kids are now adults and are like,
Mhm.
hey, wait a minute.
yeah, I
Like,
thought it was great. I mean,
yeah.
I had the biggest crush on Hayden Christensen growing up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Me too.
But like to me that it's so sad because I think he did such a good job. But I mean, Ron, to your point, I guess I don't understand where all of the hatred for him came from. Was it just that he was just kind of like a bratty character, or people just didn't like how off the
Similar.
rail he was?
Well, and I also think from my point of view, from a certain point of view,
Mhm.
for mine, I think that they wanted somebody they were expecting somebody that who was Anakin Skywalker, who we already knew who he was. He was
Mm.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
They were expecting someone to come in and be this, you know, this masculine
Hero of all
badass,
heroes.
right, you know, type of thing, and then he goes from good to bad. And that's my opinion on it, but I also think that they weren't expecting him to be this whiny teenage kid, you know, back and forth,
Mhm.
you know. So I liked it. I've always liked him. I thought they
Mhm.
did a fantastic job. I thought he did a
Mhm.
fantastic job.
Yeah, and I think honestly, it plays into who Darth Vader is very well. Like he's so impulsive. I don't think he
Absolutely.
ever really has a lot of control of what's going on. It's just kind of like acting and doing what he does based on his emotions and his revenge and all that. Like it's not really a good bad guy role, honestly. It's because that's what Palpatine is. He's the
Yeah.
real, and that is the craziest thing. I did not know that at all when I was watching these movies as a kid, that Darth Vader wasn't even the bad guy. I was like, he's got a whole other
Well, he's a
boss
bad
behind.
guy,
He is a
but
bad guy, but
yeah.
I thought he was like
The bad guy.
I thought he
Yeah.
was Lord Voldemort, but he's not.
No.
He's not at all.
All
But
right,
he's like the perfect guy for the bad guy to
Mhm.
have on a leash,
Mhm.
you know.
But
or off
speaking
a
of like
leash.
the next bad guy, we were just talking about this earlier, because we were kind of disappointed that
Summer's going to sleep. Thanks
Night-
for
Good night,
jumping
Night
on.
Summer.
Bye.
we were kind of disappointed that the Acolyte didn't get renewed because obviously that had a really big like reveal at the end of that show of what was that guy's name?
Plagueis.
Plagueis. And Nick was like losing it when he came out because obviously whatever
Paused
his lore is, but he's someone even higher than
Mhm.
Palpatine. I think there's not really,
Kinda, yeah.
or is he the same?
He's his master.
Yeah.
So and then it just
that's what I'm saying.
goes-
It's
yeah,
like
as
there's
they
all
come
of
down,
these
sure.
levels of
Mhm.
bad guys that you don't even know about, and you think,
There's only two.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, so it's just those two.
Well, there's only ever 2 at a time.
Right.
Oh,
Brett, my
Yeah.
brother, has a good point too, which is funny. But again, watching them in chronological order, when Luke and Leia kiss, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
was-
that is a good point.
We'll call that big moment number 2 in Empire Strikes Back. Of
Yeah, thank
importance
God
that you
Summer's
watch.
off.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so if Summer's actually off, like if she doesn't know who Darth Vader is,
Mhm.
I
But
don't
I
know.
feel like everyone has. It's like the Luke you almost.
I'll tell you
Your
this.
mama.
Two,
uh,
yes, Lane.
If Dylan Searockers ever watches this, he didn't know.
Oh really?
So Austin and I showed him to him.
Oh my God, what an amazing
Yeah.
moment to be able to
We were-
watch someone have
we
that
weren't even
shock.
watching the screen. We were watching Dylan.
Yeah.
We were staring at him like it's about to happen. And then
When
so-
Anakin turns.
no,
No.
when the Luke, I am your father.
Oh,
or-
okay.
Or, you know, I'm
Yeah.
and so for him it was like we have to watch it in release date order
Yeah.
because like these moments will actually matter for Dylan. But
Mhm.
most people like how that's like the most iconic line in
Mhm.
maybe
Oh, yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So
But maybe Summer just doesn't even know what that's from. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or
Right.
what it references to.
right.
So that could be a good.
Yep. Dave switched over. Appreciate you. He was which one was he? He was Crosshair 501st.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he jumped over. So I appreciate he's over here on Instagram or Facebook or Instagram, one of the two. I don't know, YouTube, wherever we're on.
Watch a
But
lot of
appreciate it.
lists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
appreciate you jumping on here. Yeah, I think he said something about the acolyte. If Keanu would have been played Chimere, which I think would have been cool as well. But I like the guy that I think he did a good job. That
Manny.
yeah, that played that part as well.
They
I
didn't
thought
have any
that was
big
good.
names in that show, did they?
They had
The shoot,
Matrix lady.
yeah,
I forget her
Can't
name.
think
The
of-
lady, one
She
of the
couldn't have been
characters
that
from the
big.
Matrix. She died right away.
In the
in the
Matrix.
movie. No, in Acolyte.
Oh, was she
Yeah.
the first like
First Jedi that she kills.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
remember
forget
that.
her name.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
Wow.
But yeah, in
Thanks for jumping on, everybody. We're talking Star Wars with our special guest, Mandeline. Nick's here with us. So jump in here. A couple more people just jumped on here with an Instagram. So thanks for jumping on. Matt K. And yeah, throw up some questions for any one of us while we're here. Trinity from but what was her Jacob?
Trinity.
What's her real name?
it's 3 names, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I think. I can't think of it right now, but yeah, but I think that was really the only big name or big actress or actor that was
They
was
spent
in
all their
that.
budget on
Acolyte.
the filming.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
a massive budget that
Mm-hmm.
was too. I liked Chimera a lot. I feel like
I thought it was a great. I thought
Yeah.
again, me and you agree on that. I thought it
Yeah.
was a great. I thought it was a great series. I thought it was great. Yeah, Carrie Ann Moss. Thank you.
Carrie Ann Moss. To go
Oh,
back,
James
to
had it. James had it too. Thanks, James.
what?
James put it up too.
in?
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, James. Yeah, Trinity from the Matrix.
Yeah.
No, but the reveal that you're talking about, it was the reason why I freaked out was because when I was a kid in episode 3, where Anakin turns to the dark side, that the first mention of this character is when him and Palpatine are sitting at the opera, and he's like, "Let me tell you a little story," and tells him about this guy named Darth Plagueis the Wise, and he's telling it to Anakin like it's this old legendary story,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like so well versed in like ancient lore and Jedi Sith lore that he's just telling him a story. You kind of get the sense that at the end of it, he's talking about his own master and saying like, yeah, he taught his apprentice everything he knew and he killed him in his sleep. What a freaking klutz. You know, like he kind of gives this look where you're like, is he talking about himself?
Yeah.
And then for like years, it was basically like the fandom thinking, yeah, he's talking about his master, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh,
like
it was
7
like never confirmed.
and then like 7 years later, they wrote a book and it was.
Who's they? Did George Lucas
Yeah,
write
like
it?
the Lucasfilm had a book commission and it's one of the best books out there for it. And now it doesn't count because they needed to clear the slate. But
Ugh.
it might as well
Oh,
count.
okay.
There's nothing conflicting about it for everything else, but it's a really good story. And it's basically about that guy and about Palpatine and about them kind of getting the plan together and then he kills him.
In his sleep?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Mm.
The
You know,
Plagueis book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. We've
Yeah.
I've talked to the author. We're hoping to get him on here.
Oh, yeah, I remember Nick
which
said
would
that.
be-
That was
which
yeah.
would be neat to get James on here and talk about that.
So to see that thing of like imagining like if as a kid being like, I don't know who that guy is, but it sounds like I want to know about it, to
Mhm.
now see it at least and know who it is,
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
So let me see if you've heard this. So David got on here and said another Easter egg is the song that's played at the Victory Naboo in the Phantom Menace was the Emperor's March in reverse.
Oh,
I've
really?
never heard that. Which
never
I
Someone's
think that would
deep
be
in some
interesting.
Reddit
Hell yeah.
thread.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. So
I saw something that someone pointed out from like The Force Awakens that one of Rey's themes was that same way. It was like the inverse of the
Oh,
Emperor's theme.
Huh.
And they used it. I don't know who it was, but might have even been one of the big YouTube
yeah,
channels.
interesting.
Used that as a reason why she was a Palpatine. It turns out they were right.
Yeah,
But
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. I did not know that. So we're getting we're getting up here for
yeah.
time, which is cool. I mean, me and you can sit here for hours, but we really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming up. But a couple of questions. Lane wanted to know your favorite female character in the universe. Jessica said Leia. Dave said Ahsoka. Dave, I agree with you. Ahsoka's.
I feel like we're like mortal enemies. We don't agree on anything. I actually
She did
disliked Ahsoka.
as a character. Well,
Yeah.
you've only seen her in the show.
Yeah.
When she in
The
Clone
cartoon.
Wars,
She's a little broody.
animation.
She's a little broody in the live action
She
show.
just
Like
felt
a little
so
serious.
self-righteous too. Like,
But
shut up.
she's such a badass.
Yeah.
she really is. I mean,
Then I think they did her dirty in the live action show.
she's beat Maul, she's beat
Yeah.
Ventress, she's beat Vader. I mean, it's crazy.
So who's your favorite female character?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like Rey is probably my most recent favorite, but I feel like there were other people I liked better. You'll learn. I have like short-term memory loss with these things. I can only consume so much, and it just goes elsewhere. But I'd have to say Rey for now. But I'll comment when it comes to me later. Somebody
Okay.
else, because that seems basic again. There's other people I
Yeah.
feel like I liked.
Do you have a favorite character or droid in the whole, were you just like, oh my God, I love him, or that like R2D2 or I mean, I know you don't know Chopper except for Ahsoka, but
anyone that was endearing to you that you were like, I want more of him or her?
Droid.
Any.
I don't know. I'm like looking at the walls here. I'm like, who give me a refresher here. Oh, I really like The Mandalorian. And I know that's also a basic answer, but I feel like that could have been I'm always waiting for that to be a crossover in something else.
Be.
Oh, it is?
Oh yeah.
There's going to be a
big
movie
on that.
Oh my God, I didn't know
in
that.
a couple years.
I loved that. I also love Pedro Pascal. So that's an easy one. But I think droid wise, I don't know if he just asked that, but favorite droid. The droid from Andor.
Oh, the red one.
B2B or whatever it's called. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
He's so cute. Oh, his mom, Andor's mom, she's amazing. She's a rock star. She's a badass.
That's your
even like
character?
on her deathbed. Well, a favorite girl, I think.
Yeah.
She's like, these bad guys.
Yeah.
They're not coming into my town.
Yeah. I forget her name.
Me too. So sad.
Yeah, she's
James, are you being serious? I hope not. Okay, he's got a little laughy face underneath. He says, "Not a droid, but Jar Jar Binks will always be my favorite."
I almost
Jessica
wore my
says
Jar Jar
C3PO.
Binks shirt.
That is a
today.
cool shirt. It's definitely a cool shirt.
Yeah.
That's a good answer though. I forgot about her, but she's a great character.
Yeah.
Andor's mom.
Way cooler than Ray's mom, or not Ray's mom. Who's the show that we just watched? The Skeleton Crew.
Oh,
Fern's
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
The worst.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I thought she really liked the bounty hunting droid in Mandalorian, IG-11.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
that
know.
becomes a nanny droid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also like when
he gets in it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, Steve wants more of Shin.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a whole thing, like with her and Balin coming up. Like, I think she feels a little bit mad about it. It looks like about him just kind of leaving her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
And-
and rolling out and be like, oh hey, yeah, we're here, but you go do your thing with them. I got other plans.
And then she got left.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ron, do you have a favorite droid and or female character?
I don't know about female. I mean, probably for me, it's going to be Leia.
Mhm.
I mean, it's Carrie Fisher. I mean, that's the OG for me.
Mm-hmm.
Droid, it's tough because I love Chop.
Yeah.
Chopper's one of my new favorites. Same with Ahsoka.
Mhm.
I mean, with all the new stuff that Dave has brought to us. But R2 has always been, a favorite of mine. I mean, he knows everything from day one. Night, Jerry. Thanks for jumping on, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry.
I love that everyone's like just watching before bed. I'm just imagining them. Like,
This might be our new time. We got a lot of people on.
yeah.
Or maybe it's you. of the show.
How can I say?
Yeah.
Knows the least amount about Star Wars, brings the biggest crowd.
But it's fun, but again, like with Matt, it was just fun to talk,
Mhm,
because again, there's people that are out there that aren't as involved in it as
mhm,
Nick and I, even and like Jerry, that,
mhm.
are here to, oh, it's fun to talk or have some opinions and be like, oh, okay, I feel that way too about, 7, 8, and 9, like you said.
Yeah.
People like us aren't going to pick 7, 8, and 9 as our favorite movies, but again,
Are you
there's
sure,
other
Nick?
people, but there's other people out there that
We haven't done
are going to
rankings
do
yet
that
on the show.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, appreciate everybody that's out here. We got a couple other people that joined in here tonight, so appreciate you guys jumping on here. We're just talking Star Wars with Mandeline and Nick. So, if you had any questions, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. But we're just talking Star Wars. We did talk about Skeleton Crew 8, which was episode 8, which was great. Great ending to a great series, I think. So what do we got here? My favorite female. Yes, Mara Jade would definitely be my favorite character, female character, but I guess sort of I'm thinking canon here instead of legends. But yeah, Mara Jade was choices. If Jedi of the Gray, if you haven't read Choices, it's a fantastic book. If you're a Mara Jade character, it's awesome. It's definitely worth checking out.
It's a good book.
Yes, it is. It's a fantastic book. 7, 8, and David said 7, 8, and 9 probably would have been better if they didn't put Rogue One in between.
I like Rogue One.
Was so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one I think. It might have put a little kibosh on it. Yeah, I would agree with that to some respect.
It was definitely like a slower tone, I think, 7, 8, 9 than Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Rogue One. We were in college maybe when it came out, right?
Yeah.
I went with my brothers and I was like,
2016.
oh my God. Like I hadn't seen anything since 1, 2, and 3. And was just like, oh my gosh, I forgot Star Wars maybe is good. Like, am I not remembering it right? Because this is a really good movie.
Yeah. I think that's always a really good one to recommend to anybody. Like that's kind of like you were saying about Andor. You can kind of just go in and get the gist of it and see a really good movie.
Yeah.
And then it's even better if you're into Star Wars because it's obviously, I mean, it's kind of, like I said, it comes from one line in the crawl.
Yeah.
And it has this awesome. But I understand that what he was saying that, there was a time.
Momentum.
Well, there was a time like Force Awakens, generally everyone was cool with it and was ready for the new ones. And then Rogue One came out and everyone was like, holy shit. And
they're doing it.
And then it's really, really hard to follow that no matter what you come out with. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if David was asking if I don't think there's a series that Choices was in. I think it was just like a standalone.
Might have been its own, yeah.
Yeah, I think it
was.
But
there were some of them that like kind of followed each other. And then it kind of got weird when you'd have other series involving the same characters at that time, which is why they ended up having to kind of like clear it out, I think, because there would be like, the main sort of Luke stories and then, a series about like Han and Chewie, but then like different things would happen to them in those different series that felt like they were conflicting. At one point, there were books that had like different colored bands on them to say like this one counts more than the other. And I don't think that happened for very long, but anyway, I think Choices was kind of its own thing. And then other stories were built using that premise, right? That like who Mara Jade was, and she was in other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he said Mother Townsend too, as well, was a great female character.
Mother Townsend.
Yeah, Mother Townsend with in Clone Wars. Yeah.
Big old witch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Which I thought was really cool that they brought them in Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a good way to do that, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was switching some cameras around. I lost my light up here, so I saw it was really dark for a while. So I just switched it over, so now you can all see me again.
Yay.
So yeah, so again, thank you for coming out and hanging
Of
out with us,
course.
and you guys coming and talking, especially with, again, like we were talking about, Skeleton Crew was such a good series.
Mhm.
And it's something fun where someone like yourself, anybody can just jump in,
Mhm.
learn the characters, have a good time with it, take a couple deep breaths, and worry about some characters and hate some other characters, and not
Win.
have to worry about lightsabers and stuff like that, which was cool that we did see some lightsaber stuff
Yeah.
in there, and a little bit of Jedi tricks.
Mhm.
So I really liked that, and I thought that was really cool. But I was glad that we were able to talk about other Star Wars stuff
I
too.
want to come back for weekly episodes when Andor comes out. I'm
Yeah,
very
she
passionate
freaking
about
loves
Andor.
Andor.
Okay,
Yeah.
As
All
do
right.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm,
I'll be
I'm
back.
Definitely, I'm definitely down for that. You guys got to make the drive.
Yeah.
We got a couple months. We'll probably have to watch season 1
Again.
again,
Yeah, for sure.
right, leading up to it.
Yeah. That was a good one. But we'll
So,
be back.
Yeah. So
I'll have to
thanks.
rewatch everything in the meantime. Refresh my brain.
Thank you, everybody, for jumping on and all the questions and interactions tonight. Appreciate it. If you're still over here on YouTube, smash a like and subscribe. So when we do have stuff like this, we have other people coming on, other interviews. We got some cool interviews coming up. I've talked to a few people. I know me and Nick have been talking about it. So they should be coming up here in the next couple months. So we'll see that. And then, we'll definitely be on talking about Andor. And hopefully, if we get this, I'm really thinking that there's an animation coming out. Something they have to have something coming up because they're not going to do Andor and then go another year until Mando comes out.
Right.
Because Ahsoka season 2, we talked a little bit about that the other day, but that's definitely coming out. But they're still got to end up filming and
They really
different
take
things
their
like
time
that.
with this stuff.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want shit getting put out there. I think everything that they've come out with so far for me and you, we've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Everything that's come out. So, but thanks everybody. Thanks Madeline for
you.
coming out.
Of
Appreciate you
course.
guys. And until then, we'll see you on Star Wars Jedi Chat. And may the force be with you. Thanks everybody.